you join me at the NEC Classic Motor Show at the NEC. And I'm standing alongside this. You should probably be familiar with this car from a certain TV show that I do with two other blokes on Amazon. If you haven't seen that show, go and have a look now. It's called A Scandi Flick. And I was delighted to be reunited with my Subaru. So much so, in fact, that, well, I did say at the end of that video, I think I'm going to need to own it, and I now do. It is now mine. I've taken it on.
So, here she is, Richard's Subaru Impreza WRX STI V Limited from 2003. This thing is a proper JDM Scooby that's been imported from Japan into the UK. It has sat here ever since the special, so what we're going to do is rescue it from here, get on a truck to Richard's place in Hereford, and then we've got lots of plans for this. This video will be going out after Richard has revealed that he's bought back the car, so I'm not too sure what he has said, but what I am sure of is he wants to go for big power with this. We are starting work on Richard's 2003 STI V Limited, known as Martin. The first port of call, getting rid of this hideous wrap. A Martini livery, fine. A Martini livery on a Subaru, not fine. So let's get this into the cog. Isaac, you're our man for today, and you've asked to bring it into the paint booth. Why?
Right, so we're going to bring it into the paint room so we can heat the whole room up to about 60 degrees.
Right.
Which will loosen, because it's a cold day today, so that will loosen, hopefully. We have not tried it before.
And it should just fly off.
Yeah, it just literally blow her straight off.
It hasn't got in unscathed, though.
No. So we did clip the exhaust slightly.
Just a wee bit.
But it is louder, and you can hear the turbos.
Great, great. And the studded tyres have polished Andrew's lovely paint booth.
Showing the galvanising off now.
So we're going to bake this car?
Yep, we're going to bake it to 60 degrees, and then hopefully that will loosen all the adhesive, and it will make the job easier.
Cool. Let's get Martin naked.
That's my dad's name.
Bloody hell. So it's 60 degrees in here right now.
Yeah, you can tell it's warm.
And if your plan has come true, this will all just fall off,
hopefully, yeah, it should be. Is it soft? Oh yeah, the edges feel soft. You can push your nail into it. So
okay,
hopefully.
Well, let's get cracking. I need to get undressed though. It's a bit hot.
It is, only slightly.
Martin, I'm sorry. You're being de-Martined. Now, this is cool and also quite sad. Isaac, come and have a look at this. You can see where the V Limited decal used to be, and they've just torn it off.
Oh, what a shame.
I remember seeing it, there might be one on the other side, I remember seeing it under the wrap and thinking that would be cool to expose, but they've got rid of it. That's in a Norwegian bin somewhere.
We've got to get that again. We need new stickers.
Saying an eBay job, they'll be
hopefully, or Japan.
That is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. If I wasn't sweating before, I'm sweating now. It just so happens that the bits that have Martin on them are incredibly thick bits of wrap, I guess wrap on top of wrap. Much harder to take off, but that's the first Martin removed from the car. We're going to try a new tactic. We've come across a TikTok where if you shove an airline underneath a wrap, you can essentially inflate it. We've got it really hot now. Do you reckon this is going to work?
Well, it's worth a try. Might be the quickest way of doing it.
I think that the TikTok's wrap was really thin. This seems quite thick as wraps go.
And we've got 2 layers, so it might just go there, but we'll give it a go.
Oh, it's just... Try again, shove it in again. Keep your fingers out. No. TikTok was wrong. Back to the heat guns. How much better does this look? I hope you guys enjoyed watching that as much as Isaac and I enjoyed doing it. Isaac, we need to come up now with a shopping list for this car.
Okay.
Let's figure out exactly what it needs, both work-wise and parts-wise, so that next time we can just hit the ground running.
Surprisingly, it's not that bad, is it, really?
It's actually a really nice car, isn't it?
There's a few bits. It'd be nice to get the headlights polished.
Yeah, so starting from the front, I guess the bumper's cracked. We should just get a new bumper.
That's probably the best bet, yeah.
And then also these covers either side.
Yep.
And as you say, well, Neo can always work his magic with these.
Yep. And they'll look brand new again.
Now this was the worst paint peel we had from taking the wrap off, but this isn't standard for the car, is it? And it's a slightly different colour as well.
It's a standard scoop because the STIs have got a bigger scoop.
Yeah.
But I think it's of a different car because the colour match is quite far
And
off.
don't worry guys, I think it has been very cheaply painted, hence why it's all just peeled off with the wrap. So moving back from there, we have decided to keep the sunstrip here because we think it kind of looks factory, doesn't it?
Yeah, it suits it.
And I think we still want something on the car that does say Martin, just so that people know.
Suits its history.
So yeah, I think we're going to keep that. On the inside, it's just the odd, what seems to be like a missing bit of trim just on the top here, but it's actually all in the boot. It's just been taken out, I imagine, for camera purposes, for mics and GoPros and all that sort of stuff. So it'll just be a case of popping all of that back in. Apart from that, the interior just needs a good clean, doesn't it? It just needs a good hoover.
Freshen up.
A bit of liquid moly all over it just to get it nice spick and span, and the inside will be good to go.
Good to go. It'd be good to make sure that the intercooler spray works as well.
We have also noticed something in the glove box. Come and have a look at this. This is what we're talking about. We've got a switch for anti-lag and a switch for cranking the map up of the engine. Why those aren't permanently on, I'm not sure. But yes, we will be using those in future. In the back, again, we've just got a bit of a skanky Haribo, just needs a bit of a hoover, all good to go. Now, the tyres. As you can see, we'll cut in some B-roll of the tarmac below us. The studded tyres are not legal in the UK at all. So the car's been transported since it's come back to the UK. You cannot drive on UK roads with them, so we're gonna get new rubber on those lovely gold alloys, and we're definitely gonna refurb them because somewhere along the line, whether it was an ice bank in Norway or whatever it was, they're pretty battered, so they need refurbed. At the back, Isaac.
Yep.
Not too bad again, really.
No.
Badges.
We're missing one, aren't we? It looks like that was underneath the wrap, so we're missing a badge there. We need to find out which one that is.
Okay, audience, tell us in the comments, you Subaru fans out there, what is the badge that is below? It's a rectangular badge below WRX. Tell us what that is. I love that badge.
Yes, that's very nice.
Awesome, the V Limited.
Doesn't say the number, no.
I guess the one thing we picked on right at the start of the day is the missing decals either side.
Definitely there.
It's a real shame of those because they're clearly limited editions, so we need to find a set of those. What are your thoughts on the tow bar?
I don't know, it's cool because it's got it, but I mean, he's not going to be towing a caravan around with it, is he?
No, but I feel like because it's already been fitted, why not just leave it? Because I don't know, it somehow just makes the car a bit cooler.
It protects the rear end as well.
And it's got the proper like towing connection,
I like
electrical
that.
connection,
I
and
like
everything.
that.
So, I mean, you guys could use that transporting cars all over the place.
500 horsepower tow vehicle.
This could become the Cog Daily if Richard's happy to give it to you guys. It's better than we thought. I think somehow having the wrap on it made it seem like a scruffier car than it actually is.
Oh, it's definitely a very good car to start with, isn't it? There's a few bits of bodywork we've got to do, but...
Speaking of bodywork, there are little bits of rust on the car. Anthony actually spotted them in one of our first videos. It's mostly around the wheel arches and just the odd bit around the car. So they will be sorted. And the whole car, after having that wrap on it, it's just gone a bit rank, really. So the cogs will be giving it a complete machine polish to get that Impreza blue gleaming once more. And come right round the front. If you get down on your hands and knees, there is a massive skid plate underneath the car to, I guess, protect the engine, the sump, gearbox and everything. So this car can be jumped at a pretty serious height and it would be completely fine. That is going to help it when it's totally finished. We give it back to Hammond and he finds some Welsh rally stage somewhere. But yeah, they build their cars properly on the Grand Tour. I guess in that place behind you, it's a pretty nice car. Normally, I'm all for preserving a car's history, but I think you'll all agree this Subaru now looks 100 times better with that wrap removed. From here on in, we're going to do all of that mending and fixing work that we've just chatted about, and then once the cogs are done with the car, this will be sent off to a Subaru expert to turn up the wick. And having chatted with Richard earlier, he's very excited for that. Now that Martin is unwrapped, we've brought him here to Torque GT, a Japanese car specialist here in the UK, to get him properly back in the game. If you don't know about this car, this is Martin. He's a Subaru Impreza WRX STI V Limited, and he was Richard's car of choice for the latest Grand Tour special. On that special, he gained a Martini livery, hence the name, and he took a bit of a battering along the way. But in today's video, this is going to be the start of fixing him up and getting him back on the road so that he can be used like an Impreza should be. Doesn't make too much sense right now because of all the work we're about to do. I would like to give the interior a quick clean because it is so grotty in here. Need to give it a hoover, and I mean there's a crampon in the footwell. The worst thing in here is that fossilised Haribo that's kind of melted into the back seat here. When we collected the car, Richard admitted that that was from a bag of sweets from the Norway special. What if I just... No, no.
A bit of interior cleaner and some display cleaner later, and Martin was looking in much better shape.
Right, all the glue is now off him. He's a bit less biscuity inside. Let's get Martin into the body shop and see what's what. Steve, you are a bodywork technician here at Torque. You've had a quick look around Martin. What do you make of him?
From a scale from 1 to 10, it's a good 7. I've seen a lot worse.
That's not
It
bad
doesn't
then.
scare me at all. It's all
Okay,
right.
so how are we going to tackle this then? I know we've got new parts coming for especially the front bumper,
Yeah.
but there's always been a bit of bubbly rust. How are we going to tackle this?
Front bumper's not an issue. We got a new part coming.
Yeah.
Whip it off, paint it, bang it back on.
Cool.
The back arches, we're going to rip the back bumper off, take the lights out, take the paint down to bare metal, and whatever rust is there, we're going to cut out and replace with new arches.
I like it. Cameraman, who's going to be editing this one? Matt? Okay. Please, can we edit this montage to a slightly dodgy version of a 2000s drum and bass track? Okay? Montage starting in 3, 2, 1. The front of Martin is now exposed, and yeah, it's not the cleanest. You can see this enormous sump guard that the Grand Tour mechanics put on it so it could do things like jumping on ice, but in installing this, they seem to have wrecked the front end of the car. There were virtually no original clips or bolts in place. It was either zip ties or nothing. Everything's just kind of hanging loose. It will have protected the car, but there will need to be some effort put in to get this back to normal. Something we have uncovered, there's this cross member here which supports the cooler for the air conditioning, and yeah, that is not in a good shape at all. That is looking quite British, and I don't think it would fail an MOT because it's just sporting the aircon, which isn't vital. If it was sporting the radiator, different story. I think we'd be okay with that, but for peace of mind, let's get that fixed. Coming into this, I'd had a lot of messages from you guys warning me about how bad these Subarus can be. But this one, Martin's looking all right. I can't see anything wrong with the sills at all. It's all been sealed, rust protected. This is a really solid car. Apart from the bubbling at the rear arches, there's nothing wrong with the front arches at all. Martin's a bit of a beast. We've had our first exploratory grind. Steve, that side was okay, wasn't it? But this is by far the worst side. And you think someone's done a bit of work here before?
Someone's put a little bit of filler in that before, yeah, without a doubt.
And then some welds underneath as well? There's something
no, there's some spot welds here, here, and here, which we've got to take out.
Okay.
But in the beginning, what we're going to do is make a couple of cuts, one, and then one going along the top and down in there, and we'll lever it open to reveal what's underneath.
Okay. Here's some there. And with that, our first bit of Martin is properly removed. But Steve, you're not too happy with it.
We're not happy with the inner arch. As you can see, that the inner arch is dissolved as well, and we're going to have to replace that.
It's a bit rover, that. But so yeah, you're hoping it was just this, but it's gone a layer deeper.
It's gone a layer deeper, and that's going to have to be cut out. This is what you find with rusty Subaru.
We have got aftermarket peel arches to go back on the car, but Steve, because of this, you're going to need to fabricate your own inner.
I'm going to have to fabricate the inner arch
to
take the outer arch that welds around the actual outer wheel arch. So I'm going to have to cut out a little bit of this and let that into the panel.
Easy.
Easy.
While Steve worked his magic on the arches, I thought I'd head on through to Torque GT's showroom to unveil some of their hidden gems.
You guys may be wondering why the car has moved from the smallest cog, and there's two main reasons. One, because they're absolutely slammed with TV work right now, and two, just how epic the pedigree is here at Torque GT. This showroom is full of all the crazy rare JDM specs of these cars, starting with a Forester STI. How much do you want one of those as a daily? NSX Type R, all the Senna vibes. There are 3 R34 GTRs in here. 2 of them are V-Spec 2s, and then this one is the daddy, V-Spec 2 Nür, as in Nürburgring. It's got a carbon fiber bonnet, it's got a fully uprated engine, racing engine in it, and I think it's the best color of any Skyline GTR ever. This showroom is absolutely epic. If you guys came in here, you'd want everything in here, and it's all at tip-top level.
As you can see, we've cut this out now,
Yeah.
and we've cut the inner one out, and if we look in behind, there is no rust to be seen on the inner wheel up. So we've got all that out, and it's just a matter of fabricating up some patches, again, like the other side.
It's interesting, it looked better than the other side, but once you actually cut
That's right,
into it,
you
it's
just never
the
know.
same.
You never know until you start cutting what you're gonna find.
I'm really happy with the start to this project. This car could have been an absolute rotter of an Impreza, like so many of them are in this country, but Martin is a really solid piece of kit. I was not expecting any welding to happen today, but the fact that Steve's already got some fresh metal on the car, this project's really cracking on now. We're now going to leave this Impreza with the team here at Torque for a few days, and they're going to do some more welding, and in the next episode there'll be paint going on the car, some fresh parts, as well as a wheel refurb, because these lovely golden wheels are in one hell of a state. Since we've been away, our man Steve has got straight in there, cut out the crap, there's new metal in, and it's back Subaru blue now. A nice quick job, and I think that's really the ethos of this build with Martin. We don't want to make him an absolute minter. He's already a decent car, but the aim is just to get him back presentable and back on the road doing what he was always made to do. In today's video, we're going to be cracking on with getting some paint on the car. So the rear arches are now nicely prepped and good to go, and I have heard that there have been some new parts arriving in the last few days. Let's have a look at what's arrived then, starting with the front bumper, completely fresh, and it's now already been prepped for paint. And then here, these are some new decals, Subaru Technica International. We'll have that. Some new badges. What's this one here? New STI badge. That's going to be so satisfying to put back on. Got a new Subaru badge for the front. When you see that printed on the side of your box, you know you've got the good stuff. What's in here? Oh, I know what this is. Look at that. Fresh fog light covers that fit into there. I want to be the person that pops those into place. Oh, that's lovely. The other stuff here is stuff that's come off the car that's been prepped for paint. So we've got the fuel flap, we've got our door handles there, and then this was probably the part that was affected the worst by the wrap coming off. This is the bonnet scoop from the Subaru. It's now all rubbed back and good to get Subaru blue again. Now, this sunny boy here is very important. There were 2 things stopping Martin from being road legal in the UK, and that was the studded tyres and the lack of a cat. So this has come from Japan. It's an STI 8 cat, and in the post is the rest of the exhaust system, which will come from HKS. That one on the car is just far too loud, so hopefully this sounds burbly enough for Hammond. Another thing that's in the post is the V-Limited decals for the rear wing, because it's been annoying everyone here seeing the remnants of them, so let's get them back in place. Now that we've taken this off, there's actually some final bits of Martini wrap still on the car, so let's get them off. I I love seeing coats 2 and 3 go on the car. When that initial coat goes on, you can still see it's just sitting on top of the primer, but then coats 2 and 3 really bed in the colour. It's still that dull blue, and there'll be lacquer coats that go on top of it now to really bring out that sparkle, but it's already looking amazing. So we have our Subaru YouTube project next door, and this is Torque GT's Subaru YouTube project. Paul, you're the senior technician here. Tell us all about Project P1. What is this?
Basically, we came across it, bit of a neglected sort of car.
Okay.
Came across it and we bought it up and thought we'd do like a ground-up restoration on it and bring it back to its full potential. So.
Okay, so fundamentally, in terms of the top-class Subarus, in my head, there's the P1 and the 22B, but I'm not sure kind of what's the difference there. Tell us, what is a P1, what's a 22B, and why is this special?
Okay, yeah, so obviously the 22B was the rally-bodied version, so it had the wide arches, had the 2.2 engine instead of the normal 2 litre.
And they're super valuable, right?
Yep, major money. And then obviously it's a 2-door coupe version, not a 4-door classic Impreza saloon.
Yes.
So obviously they made it, you know, like so. Then this one originated from the Type R JDM version.
Sure.
And then they brought it over and ProDrive made the P1 from a Type R.
Okay.
So they upgraded certain bits, changed other bits, and made it what it is.
Okay, so are we talking like 50, 60 grand for one of these?
I would have thought top sort of area for one would be somewhere around there, yeah,
Okay.
for a clean example.
And was this a minter to start with, or was this a bit of a barn find and now it's been restored like this?
Yeah, it was in nice, you know, sort of original condition, but yeah, the paint was faded. It had a little bit of rust on the rear quarters down by the bottom of the arch and stuff like that. But as you can see from the interior, it was a good one owner from new and pretty clean. So, you know, it was a good one to bring back and restore.
Okay, and is it just a restoration, or is there going to be some resto modding as well? Is that part of the package?
It's like sort of Resto Mod Plus, so we're kind of just taking stuff, you know, and replating everything and making it as best it can be. A little bit better than it would have been, obviously, like painting it underneath, where originally it wouldn't have been completely painted gloss, you know, the shiny finish underneath and stuff. So getting that little bit extra, I guess.
And your engine's next door, that looks immaculate, and the gearbox is just over there. Are they upgraded at all, or is that just cleaning up?
No, it's basically, we've had them like vapor blasted, we've taken all the bolts out and had them re-zinc plated, and, you know, obviously it's going to be like new clutch, new everything else. But yeah, so we're slowly going through it all and restoring it back as best we can with what we've got and what we can get hold of.
Okay, and this has been our YouTube series, so there's, what, 11, 12 episodes so far that you guys can go check out. We'll put the links below.
Yeah, so we've had, obviously, the episodes going out, but obviously we've had a bit of a delay in some bits external.
Project cars, right?
And it's unfortunately just held us up, and we're still waiting to try and get the next episode out.
Okay, and is this a service that Torque GT will put to customers? Like, can they bring their P1s and get the same service as this?
I wouldn't say no. I'd say at the end of the day, we're probably open to anything like that. So yeah, it's a possibility. If someone out there wants that done, why not?
But not cheap.
No, I can't imagine this would be cheap, but I'm sure people that have got these sort of things can appreciate how much money they've got in it, and if they want it like this, then they see it as a, you know, a future investment, isn't it?
Cool. Well, it looks mint already. And how long do you reckon until it's fully finished?
It's hard to say.
Give me a ballpark.
Yeah, if everything was here and I probably had dedicated time to it straight off, it probably would be done in no time at all.
But you're quite busy.
But yeah, so unfortunately, customers keep coming in and cars keep coming from Japan. So unfortunately, there's only the two of us in the workshop, so I'm flat out all the time.
So good, but also a bit of a shame. But yeah, maybe one day.
Unfortunately, yeah, it takes a back seat after the customer stuff, really.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it. This is going to look sick when it's done.
Yeah, it should look good.
So this is the resident dog here at Torque GT called Boris. He's very excited because he really likes Honda S2000s, especially the Type S over there. Boris, we've got 3 Japanese cars on the DriveTribe channel now. We've got my Japanese Jag XKR, Richard's Subaru, and Yuki, the Suzuki as well. Which one is your favourite? Ooh, I don't need teeth. I just want an answer. I think that was the Subaru. Right, okay, sit. Good boy. And he's off to check out the Honda. Today has been another super productive day with the Grand Tour Subaru. The welded bits are now back painted blue and all the other bits to go back on the car are now baking in the oven. It will not be long before Martin is a handsome Impreza once again. So today is all about building him back up. He'll start here in the workshop where we'll get the bumpers and scoop back on. He'll then head through to the workshop where some brand new parts will go on. And then finally, he'll head through to the detailing booth where he'll get the full Torque GT spruce up. Something has happened while we've been away. The wheels have been refurbed. These were as scabby as they could get when the car first came in here, all rutted and huge divots out of them, and they were sent away in the last few days. You guys may have spotted we had different wheels on the car in the last episode. They were just borrowed from a legacy just so they could move it around while these were being refurbed. They were done at Southwest Wheel Repairs, and don't they look amazing? That gold looks top notch. Could these be the most iconic set of alloy wheels ever? Quite possibly. Steve, good to have you back on the channel.
Thank you.
There's been another couple of bits added recently. I can see these nice fancy shiny brackets back on.
Yeah, basically we only put those on because Subarus do suffer from the bumpers dropping. So new brackets, bumper up nice and high.
And this morning is all about just flying all of this back on the car and getting him looking like an Impreza again.
That's about it.
Steve, do you like the Black Eyed Peas?
No.
Good. So we've just got Martin back together and now he's in the workshop and we're going to start tearing him apart again. Paul, the plan is to get some upgrade parts on him, so exhaust and brakes. Are they easy jobs on this?
Yeah, not too bad. The exhaust's pretty straightforward to swap out, so obviously take off what's on it, put on the HKS that we've got to go back on it.
So I'm used to working on rusty, crusty British cars.
Yep.
There's not been too much rust bodywork-wise on this, so are we expecting some sheared bolts or should it all come off okay?
Anything could happen, yeah, just depending on how our environment's got to it or wherever it's been. But yeah, we'll have a go and fingers crossed it all comes apart as it should.
Okay, I guess the main thing for me really is the cat, because that's the final thing that will get this car road legal again. Flap 4, is that trickier than normal or is it just getting down in there?
Yeah, they're not too bad on these. Obviously, we're going to have to remove the intercooler and stuff to get to the turbo, to take the cat off because it's bolted direct to the turbo.
Yep.
And then we'll pull it off and swap it back for the MOT version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see it. I was slightly terrified that doing this exhaust work, this enormous sump guard, it's crazy thick, would be in the way, but thankfully the guys that installed it have put this nice cutout that leads straight up to the top of the cat system there, and there's one bolt that we need to get out. It's quite far up there, but Paul's an expert. He should be able to pack that out in no time. Everyone, please welcome to the channel Maz from HKS. Maz, thank you so much for coming down. You've brought some parts with you. Tell us what they are, apart from the obvious, a massive exhaust.
Massive exhaust, pretty much what you asked for.
Exactly.
So this one is what we call the silent high power style exhaust for
Cool name.
the Impreza GDV. Silent and high power, normally a bit contradictory. We
Yep.
tried to find a good balance for both. This one for your car, 75mm piping, so about 3 inches. For you metric folk, and goes out to 120mm tail tip, so almost as big, if not bigger than what you've already got. Should flow enough for 500-600 horsepower. It's a good application for anybody running even stock power, want to make a little bit more of a sporty tone without going crazy loud with it, but should flow everything that you're currently planning to do with your Impreza in the future.
So we've got our CAT system that's come from Japan. That's going to combine with this, and that's what's going to make this car road legal. But I mean, looking at this tip, I thought it was going to go from Canon to something a bit more subtle. But as you say, this could be even bigger than what's on the car currently. So do you promise me this is going to be road legal in the UK?
Yes, your sound level is more dictated by the CAT than it is from everything behind it.
So that should
But yes,
chill
we
everything
should do. We've just got to make sure we've got a few things that are right, because the Imprezas are very finicky when it comes to the exhaust.
Okay.
Every specification, whether it's Japanese spec, UK spec, continental Europe spec, all have slightly different length exhausts here and there. But this one is made for a Japanese car. That's originally a Japanese car. The downpipe that you've got is supposed to be for a Japanese car, so everything should work out.
Okay, if all the codes align, we'll be fine. Shall we do a test? I want to see whether this is bigger than what's currently on the car.
Let's have a look.
Okay, let's see how they stack up. Maz, do you want to take off the bubble wrap?
Yeah, sure.
See how they compare. I can't quite see. That looks quite close.
I think that's going to be pretty similar.
Okay, so if any of you were worried that Martin was going to lose his Canon, in fact, he's getting an even shinier one. What's ideal is that within Torque, there's Torque parts. Just through there, there's essentially a warehouse full of Japanese car parts. So if you need any parts for your car, the chances are Torque are going to have it somewhere through there. So we've got the brakes literally from off the shelf 20 yards away, and now they're going on the car. With the new brakes on, this thing should stop a lot better. My main question though, does it still sound as antisocial? What does that HKS system sound like? Let's find out. Oh, much better. Not having my eardrums completely blown out. A bit of a rev. Oh, infinitely better. Whenever I drive this car around my neighbourhood, my neighbours aren't going to scowl at me as I go past now, but still, you know, engine's cold, so I don't want to rev it too much, but you can just tell on the move, this car is going to sound much more like it. That's all the mechanical bits and pieces done. Thankfully, Torque has a really nice detailing bay here, so now it's time to make that Subaru blue really pop.
Along with a right good polish, we've shipped in some brand new decals and badges to take care of those last few satisfying details.
Martin has been welded, painted, and has some fresh parts on him. You could say we have rescued this Subaru Impreza. Well, nearly. Unbeknownst to you guys, during this video, we sent Martin away for his MOT because we'd sorted the tires, we'd sorted out the cat, it should have been road legal. We have actually got incredibly lucky because on the MOT stand, one of his brake pipes burst. That could have been very bad. If this had burst one braking event before or one braking event after the MOT test, this car could have been in a pretty horrific shunt. So we've got very lucky that this happened while it was static and being tested for its brakes. That means that Martin is going to stay here at Torque GT for a bit longer. We sadly can't drive him away today because although a brake pipe should be simple, that specific one is hidden way in the car. It's actually incredibly difficult to see and it's corroded underneath the car's interior. We actually need to rip out half the interior to swap that pipe out. So it's going to stay here a bit longer and then we'll start creating content out on the road with him. On that front, I need to have a chat with Richard. Are we diving straight in with engine work to tune this car up to the number that he wants? Or are we going to drive it in its stock form, see what it's like, and then think about tuning it? I'll have the chat with Richard and you guys will see the result of that.
I've brought the car to Pole Position UK, which is one of the top places in the country for Subaru work, with the workshop currently chock-a-block with high-power builds. And these guys have history with Richard's car already.
Sha, you play a fundamental part in this car's history. Tell us why your company name is on the reg and how this car ended up on the Grand Tour.
So we've been importing cars for some time now, and we were approached by Amazon to supply a car to them. They give us a very brief overview of what they needed, and the only thing we'd got in stock at the time was this car, being the V Limited.
Okay.
The deal was done, I sort of bought the car, and that's why our name's on there, because we had to register it for the first time in the UK as a business.
And you seem to kind of collect these, because there's another V Limited just around the corner.
There is, yeah, so I'm very fond of them. We had a few at one time, they've become quite popular now.
Yeah.
And people have realised what they are, so it's getting a bit more difficult to actually get your hands on them.
Okay, so the Grand Tour bought this car for their special, then what?
So we basically we prep the car, we give it to them, and as you know, Richard fell in love with it.
Richard fancied it.
And kept it, and I can't blame him.
It's cool to know that it's kind of come full circle now. We've brought it back here. So what's the process of getting this engine out then? We want big power, so we need to get it out. What's the process?
So the process is remove everything from around the engine, remove the radiator, disconnect the water system, disconnect the electrical system, fuel system, and then once we can actually see and get the engine unbolted from the gearbox, we'll lift it out and into the engine room.
Okay, let's crack on.
Just as we found with our Japanese XKR, everything flew off Martin nice and easy, allowing the engine to lift out no bother at all. These Japanese cars really do put my beloved old British snotters to shame in that department. With Martin's flat 4 now on an engine stand, the next step was to buzz off all the ancillary bits and any piping to get it down to a bare long block. So off came the turbo, the intake manifold, then the exhaust manifold, and finally the timing cover.
We are about halfway through stripping this engine now, but Shah, there was a job you wanted to do before we continue. What is that?
So yeah, the next stage is to remove the timing belt.
Okay.
To do that, we always put the engine into time for two reasons. We can check to make sure it was working okay to begin with, and that there was no problems we need to be aware of. And secondly, it puts the engine into a safe position where we can continue then to work with all areas of the engine, camshafts, pistons, whatever. There's no risk of damaging components against each other.
Okay, so we're going to manually crank the engine and we're looking to match up the markers?
Yeah, we're going to turn the engine into a position where all the timing marks line up with the marks on the engine itself.
Okay. So this is going clockwise.
Which is always good practice.
Yeah. And so we've got our 1s and our 2s.
Correct.
Oh, you can really feel the
compression
pressure in the engine.
Okay, and for you, close up there.
Is that? So
Yeah.
I've got 1 and 1, 2 and 2.
You've got this mark.
Right, 1 and 1, and the same on that side?
Correct.
So that's it?
You're perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're happy that the engine was in time to begin with, which we knew it was, but it's good practice.
So now those pistons are kind of in the middle of their travel.
They
is
are,
that correct?
yeah.
Okay, nice. What now? What's the next
So
stage?
the next stage is, let's get this belt off.
Okay.
We're confident that we're not going to cause any damage.
Okay.
So next stage is, we want to release the tension and remove the belt completely off the engine.
Okay.
With the timing belt removed, some last few pipes were stripped so we can move on to removing the cam covers. Out came the cams, and my personal favourite job, extracting the cam followers, followed by the heads, so that Martin's engine was now down to a bare short block. With the pistons freed from the block, it was time to crack this EJ20 wide open.
The time has come. I'm not seeing a chisel or a sledgehammer. What's the process of
So
splitting
it's just a little
this
trick
engine?
we've sort of used over the years, and found this about the most effective way to separate without damaging the mating faces.
Okay.
So what you need to do is reverse the pry bars against each other in an area on the block to push them apart without causing any damage.
To get proper like leverage on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so where am I putting them?
So we need to put one in here and one there. So literally like that. So they're working against each other. Yeah, and if you grab them in the middle, give them a squeeze. Yeah, good squeeze. Okay, so we've separated, well done. Then we'll do the same trick here, just on the back. So we'll get the two
same
balls
thing.
in there. There's dowels inside, so they grab. Okay. Yeah, you can be stubborn. Oh, nearly. Okay. There we go. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that's it.
There
Move
is.
this here. Excellent.
That's so satisfying. Look at that crank. You must love your job.
So I do like my job.
This is fun. Oh my god. That's one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. That is Richard Hammond's Subaru Impreza block. Right, now some CSI. Does the engine look good to you? Is it a healthy one?
So the engine's been running very well. When we had it on its side earlier on, I had a good look inside the bores and at the top of the pistons, and it's been running very, very well. So it's been running on the right quality fuel. It's obviously oil's in good condition, although it looks dirty. That's what it's supposed to look like.
So if this was another customer, you'd be more than happy to start making power mods to this block?
So yeah, whatever the plan would be now to sit down with the customer, I'd be telling him that his engine was in great condition and we've had no hidden upsets along the way.
Perfect. That's what we want to hear. The internet will tell you that the Subaru Flat 4 is an unreliable block. Why is that the case? Is it the case?
So I've heard that also. Sometimes it's through poor maintenance. Sometimes you've got a weak area. Sometimes it's been driven wrong. My opinion is that with the right maintenance schedule and the right quality of oils and you know, the right people doing the work on it, these things last an awful long time.
Okay.
That said, there is that many of them that's been built since sort of 92. There's going to be a larger number of failures.
All the forums say cylinder 3. What's the situation there?
Yeah, so cylinder 3 historically was the one that sat next to the turbo and got excessive heat from the turbo. We build that many. We don't actually see that pattern ourselves. Cylinder 4 is a little bit more problem on the 2.5, but the 2 litre was strong. This semi-closed deck unit, it was strong out the box, and it's clearly been looked after in terms of servicing and maintenance.
Okay, so that's something else I want to chat about. I've seen on the internet there's open, semi-closed and closed engines. What are those?
So basically it's the design of the case half. So this, for instance, is a semi-closed deck block.
Okay.
Very strong out the box.
Is that a V Limited thing or?
So it's not a V Limited thing only. It's something synonymous with the new age Impreza. So from 2001 STI onwards, this was used. This technique of this extra support. WRXs and earlier cars didn't have this, and they was classed as an open deck.
Okay.
And then the Subaru built themselves a closed deck version of this engine, and in latter years, people like myself, we insert closed deck pieces to
because
make them
they're stronger.
Yeah,
fundamentally stronger engines.
Yeah.
And also people say if you add power to these engines, the heads basically separate themselves from the block.
Absolutely.
How does that happen?
So it's cylinder pressure. So when you're actually putting more fuel, more air in there to create more power, you are putting 10 times more pressure, and that in turn at high RPMs can lift the heads. Okay. So what we do then is we upgrade the bolt, the clamping forces, and we've got a couple of options for that. We can increase the size of the bolts, we can increase the tensile strength of the bolts, we can do quite a bit.
Okay, so that's us done for today really. I'm really happy with the progress. The engine is all separated out and it looks really, really cool. So tomorrow is going to be, some cleaning and some looking at some nice performance parts to go on.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for today. I love when my hands look like this after a day of work. And you've got the best job in the world.
Yeah, sometimes.
You join us back at pole position the next day. We've got some engine parts cleaning next door. Sha, we've got some incredibly good looking parts in front of us. How are we going to create 500 plus horsepower in that Subaru through there?
So we're just going to keep things simple. We're going to go back to basics and we're going to make the engine efficient. This is what this is going to do. So what we're going to focus on is we're going to get the actual process of the engine to work really well. We're going to get the gases in really quickly, and we're going to get the gases out really quickly. Hence we've got uprated equal length twin scroll headers and up pipe. We're going to uprate the turbo. It's as simple as that, really. We're going to introduce some larger injectors. We're going to put some more fuel. We're going to put some more air, and we're going to make some more power.
Well, it's just, I guess, an engine's just an air pump with some fuel happening,
yes,
right? So
yes.
we're just trying to maximise
Yeah, we
all
just
that.
want to make it happen quicker, more efficiently.
These headers look amazing. Because if I bring over the unit that's come off the car, this horrible, rusty piece of crap, these are going to look amazing underneath.
So they look amazing, and there's some more improvements we can make to these. We can coat them, and we can control the temperature of them because they're uncoated at the moment. So they look amazing, but that's not what it's about. It's the function. It's about controlling temperatures. It's about getting the hot gases to travel faster.
Okay, so that's how to increase the power, and then here we've got how we're going to kind of almost defend against that power, make the engine reliable. What's going on here?
Yeah, so when we actually start building the engine, we will introduce some forged, much stronger, much better, much nicer looking pistons. We're also going to introduce some more strength to the connecting rods, which obviously is how we transfer the power. We can do all this to a standard engine, but it won't work. It'll break fast.
Okay, so the engine's going to breathe better, it's going to be much stronger, the injectors will mean more fuel. What sort of number do you reckon? What would you estimate we're going to get from this package on your dyno next door?
500 is where I'm confident.
On the dot, 500.
Minimum.
Minimum. Okay, I'm good with that. I mean, Richard, we've chatted about this before. Richard has asked for 600, but you said, you know, drivability, reliability, and money-wise, it doesn't make too much sense to go that far.
It makes no sense really for a road car. What's the word I use? I can't use the real word I normally use.
Use the real word.
It's dick swinging.
Yep, fine.
Real world, from 350 onwards, you've got a serious car in Subaru terms.
Well,
Serious.
that's it. I've driven that car on the way up here, and the map, you did the map for the Grand Tour for that car, and it was what, around 350?
Yeah, 350, 360.
And that car on British country roads feels rapid. So I can't quite believe Richard wants another 150 plus horsepower.
He's obviously experienced in high power cars,
Sure.
so for him, I kind of get it.
Okay.
For most folk, we don't get that privilege.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He'll almost certainly take this package up to the lakes, and we'll see if he can cope
He'll be
with
serious.
500
He'll be
horsepower. Okay, cool. I guess next thing is take those nice, new, fresh, clean parts out of the washer. If you guys remember, Torque GT had their Subaru project car, their P1 project, and this is the pole position car. Shah, this is, well, is this your development car, is that fair to say?
It's fell into that category. It was a personal car of mine from a very long time ago, and we just try things on it, and now it's become the development car.
Okay, so I can already see some green. Can we take a peek under
Of course,
here? What is happening under here? Okay. If I was to look at that and you were to tell me that created 1,000 horsepower, I think I'd believe you. What's happening under here? What is all of this?
The simple version is, I like Ford Focus Ultimate Green. That's why it looks like £1 million.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it's one of my favourite colours. So I painted it that colour. We've gone to the top of the power scale, we've come down, we've broken it so many times. We're at the point now where everything that's important about a quick car is what this car is now.
Okay.
It's reliable, it's fast, it works.
So looking at the list here, you've got 2.35, so has that been stroked even further than Richard's engine's going to be?
Yeah.
Or is that some bore as well, or how does that work out?
Yeah, so it's a genuine Subaru block, which originally started life as a 2.2.
Okay.
It was a closed deck block from the factory, so it was good. They're quite rare. They're available, but they're quite rare, and it's quite rare to find one that's actually true as in the original manufacturing process, as in true. We then use that block once we've done the checks to install and machine out, much like we're doing Richards. So where we're taking Richards from 2 litre to 2.1, we take this one from 2.2 to 2.35.
Okay.
And use the same method of increasing the stroke using the crank and the piston combination. That then gives us a rock solid base. Then we can start breaking it and understanding what works with it. It's not all about power. It's about finding how to use that engine reliably. To finish first you got to finish.
Sure. So what would you say? I know that you've been very coy about how much power this engine makes. What would you say is that perfect number? Does it start with a 5?
I can speak personally. My number doesn't start with a 5.
Okay.
Lots of people's does, and it depends on driving style, what you're using it for, drag strip, sprint.
You're
endurance.
saying that as if it starts with a less than a 5.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So we're unsure what it is, genuinely. I've got my own dyno, but I quite like the fact that it's rapid and it's got mystery. That's the top and bottom, really.
Will Richard's car be anywhere near this in terms of outright road speed?
Yes.
Okay.
The answer is yes, outright road speed.
And you're saying this is a supercar beater right now?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, Martin's going to be a pretty serious piece of kit by the time we're finished then.
Yeah, there's lots of factors to consider with that answer, but yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for showing us your car. We are now going to hit the road, and while we're away, there's going to be a whole load of processes happening. So what's happening while we're away from here?
So whilst you're doing your thing, I'll be doing mine, and that includes now cleaning, then machining, then measuring, checking, then setting up all the parts, checking all those, just basically preparing for assembly.
Yeah.
We will have some machining done on the actual block offs to enable them to be 2.1.
Yeah.
We will then strip the heads completely from where they are now. We've cleaned them. Then we'll strip them. We'll replace valve stem seals. We'll reseat the valves. We'll check everything. We'll make sure everything's straight. This is all the boring stuff. Once we've done that, we'll then start looking at any contamination within any of the inlet components. We'll look at what's worn out, what needs to be replaced, what's economical. All this goes on, and when you come back, this will all be done, and we'll then start the fun bit.
Okay, so yeah, when we come back, the Lego set will be going back together. Okay, well, I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Sha, it's good to be back. What's happened since we've been away?
Yeah, good to see you. We have been preparing things whilst you've been gone. So we took the blocks that we separated last time, cleaned them up because they was a bit filthy. And then next stage for the blocks then is to get them machined to suit the stroker pistons that we're going to be installing. So that goes to a specialist machining company. They make the right clearance for the forged pistons.
Yep.
So that's happened, and we've got those back, and we're doing the final cleaning process. Obviously, after machining, we need to make sure they're really, really, really clean. And then, whilst that was happening, I was collecting parts for you for the build.
Which we've got here. So the plan for today is to have a short block back together?
Yeah, that's the aim. Providing we have no issues, that's where we'll end up today.
Okay, and in that short block will be these things here. They look amazing. I think let's start with this. You've been freaking out about this all morning. Tell us what this crank is. It's quite special.
Yeah, this is really, really, really nice. So it's a billet crankshaft, and the difference is there. It was one piece of material, and it's just been completely carved out of that. It's tougher, it's stronger, it's got better tolerances. It is. So this is like your supermodel of cranks. It's. This has got legs this long. It's beautiful. It's stunning.
These, I've never seen these before. They're almost like blade-like.
Yeah, we refer to those as knife edge.
Right, cool.
So this is a knife edge crank. It's balanced to less than 1 gram, which, as a comparison, compared to a standard manufacturer's crankshaft, they aim for less than 3 grams. So this is less than 1 gram, and it's probably less than half a gram in reality.
Lovely.
So getting close to sort of Formula One balancing technology.
Very good. Okay, and then we've seen these before, the K1 rods and then these pistons. So this is our, hopefully, 500 horsepower-ish.
Yeah, so there's a few more things we're going to include, but for the actual short motor, we're going to start with the heart, and we've got the very best heart there.
Okay.
And then we're going to install pistons that are capable of producing the power, handling the heat. They come as a package with gudgeon pins and uprated rings, and obviously to connect that to that, we need rods that are capable too.
So the block is having one last clean. What's the first step of our engine build?
So on a flat engine, the first step is to start assembling the rods to the crankshaft with some racing bearings.
Okay, sounds awesome. I want to see that connected to that. It all looks so lovely. Let's crack on.
It was time for the build to commence, starting with installing the squeaky clean rod bearings, making sure to thoroughly lubricate them once in place. Then the first con rod was assembled and torqued.
So we cleaned it, we installed it, and we've just completed the 2 stages of the torque sequence.
Okay.
Even though we've cleaned it to death, we just want to do one final check, which is to see that the rod is spinning very, very silky over that crankshaft.
Okay, so what do you want me to do with this then?
Hold it perfectly upright.
Yes.
And then let it just fall one way on its own.
That already feels amazing, but...
And what we're looking for is a completely silky smooth fall, and then try it the other way.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, and we're feeling for any play when we grab it. What can we feel?
It feels amazing.
That's how it should feel.
Oh. Okay, another 3 of them then.
That's it. Easy as that.
What a job. I love this shit. So we've built the crank, and Shah, we've got our 2 clean halves of the block here, big end bearings and washers. What's the procedure from here on in?
So yeah, we will assemble all the washers onto the bolt. We'll replace all the internal block washers. We'll replace the silicone seals. We'll clean it, obviously, make sure everything's really, really clean.
Sure.
And then it's a case of positioning the crank, bolting the 2 halves together, torquing to spec.
So first things first, even more cleaning.
Yes, please.
Okay. Everything is lubricated, so we're dropping in the crank now. What am I doing here?
So you're just paying some attention now, because of the style of the engine, that we get the correct con rods to drop into the correct cylinders off obviously the crankshaft. So on this particular half that we're going to start the assembly with, we're going to drop cylinder 1 and cylinder 3 through
Down.
and ensure that 2 and 4 are on the other side, so that when we put the engine together, they're sitting the right.
Okay, so if I hold 2 and 4,
Yeah.
like that, and then 1 and 3 drop.
Yeah, so if we can twist the crankshaft ever so slightly this way.
Okay.
Yeah, how do you feel? Okay?
Yep, got it. And then just straight down?
Yeah, so we're just paying some attention to where these 2 con rods are sitting. Does that make sense now? Mm-hmm. Looking good. A little bit. That's it. Tiny little adjustment. We're just gonna... There you go.
There it goes.
Yeah? And then a quick little twist. Make sure everything's free.
Yeah, feels
Excellent.
good.
That's fine. So just gently rest the con rods into a comfortable position. Happy days, that's good. That's ready now for us to start working on the other half.
Okay, so I remember when we cracked the block, we were kind of cracking silicon. So is that now what we're doing? Basically reapplying that onto
exactly that. We're going to apply a nice even coat of the correct silicon, 3-pond silicon, and then when we're happy that we've got the right coverage in the right places, we're then going to offer this half to that half and bolt it up to the Torx.
Okay, and are we lubricating those bearings in the same way as those ones?
Exactly the same.
Okay, cool. So we're not too far away from being back together.
Yeah, we're close.
So exciting. The block is back together, and before the end of today we want the pistons in. So first job is the rings. What's this little worksheet here?
So whenever you buy some new pistons, you should receive with that set of pistons some instructions for the machinist and some instructions for the engine builder.
Okay.
The machinist works from the sheet to machine the clearance from piston wall to piston, and the engine builder needs to make a decision based on the application of what clearance he wants or what gap he wants in the rings.
Okay, so it's already been machined.
So this has been machined to accept the right clearance between the piston and the wall. Now it's for us to set the gap, the distance between the rings for what we're going to use the car for.
Okay.
So when you receive the pistons new, you get some different sizes for different applications.
Okay, so street moderate, turbo nitrous, that's what we're going for.
Yeah.
So 0.0050 and 0.0055, what are they?
So they are what we need to base this calculation on.
Okay.
So we take the bore size, accurately measure the bore size, which we've done, and then we use that size, times it by the application size that we want, and that then gives us a clearance. So between 0.016 and 0.025 is the range usually that you will find your rings.
Okay, okay. So what measurement are we doing now then?
So when we've calculated this, we are going to set top ring to 0.018, and we are going to set the second ring to 0.020.
Okay, using this device here?
Yeah.
Okay, show us how it's done.
So basically, this is just a standard set of feeler gauges that I've had with a little turn on the end just to make it a bit more easy for when we're trying to look from this angle. If it was sort of here, it gets a bit. I find it easier to have my sort of hand out the way, resting, and we can check the gap of the ring. Obviously, there's no ring there, but when we start just testing the rings and filing the rings to size, this is what we'll use.
Okay, let's get them in.
Okay, then. So we've filed this one to size. Yeah. What we're going to do now is just make sure that we've got, it's absolutely key, critical, that this gap here, when it's in the position, is parallel to one another. We cannot have this, we cannot have this, it has got to be that, yeah, and it's got to be the right distance that we've set.
Okay, so just like square to each other.
It's really important, and people just don't pay enough attention to this part. I'm really happy with that gap now, and so you have to feel what I'm talking about. You can't just see it. So visually, it's parallel, it's beautiful. Pop that into that gap now, which is the desired size we want, and feel the resistance. It should be like a firm drag. Yeah, in and out, and then that's it. Feel it grab.
Okay, yeah, so there's a tiny bit of grab.
Yeah, nothing more than that, nothing less. That is the perfect gap.
Okay, nice. So, now what?
So this ring is now complete. Same process with that ring.
Okay, and we're going to check every ring.
Every ring, yeah.
Okay, next ring.
With the rings all checked and given the thumbs up, they were slid into place, followed by Shah carefully knocking the forged pistons into the block.
All 4 pistons are now back in this engine, and this is now a short block. We're now going to go away for a few days, and Shah will continue with this build, and when we get back it will then be a long block with the heads on and all of the ancillaries back in place. If everything goes as smoothly as it has been going, hopefully by the end of this video this engine will have started up and be running great. I've jinxed that now. See you in a few days. It has been 3 or 4 days since we were last here, and in that time, everything is now back on the engine, and by the end of today's video, we want to have that back in there and hopefully start Martin back up again. Sha, reinstalling this flat 4, is it engine in and then ancillaries, or do we need to do some jiggery pokery before we put the block in?
No, it's fairly straightforward. It is just the reverse of what we did when we removed it. So if we follow that system, everything will be fine and it'll go really well.
Okay, what's first then?
So we need to just get everything in the right position. What's important here is the angle of the dangle.
Okay.
We want everything very square and very aligned, and it will mate together really easily.
Yeah.
We are going to keep the up pipe and the header separate. The reason I do that, it's my personal preference, but it's quite difficult to squeeze an up pipe through the gap between the subframe and the cylinder head when it's in location.
Okay.
So our experience teaches us to fit that first, leave the headers off, put the engine in its hole, and then when we've got everything mated together, we'll then install the headers without no damage, and it'll be perfect.
Okay, yeah. We don't want to scratch our brand new coated bits, do we?
No, somebody won't be very happy if we do that.
Okay, so first things first, bolting the turbo to there.
Yes.
Cool, let's see it. It's best to look at these components before the engine goes in the car. We've got our uprated turbo here with its brand new Zerkotech heat shield jacket. That is to the same level that you would see on a Formula One car, a current Formula One car. So cool, especially in this gold. And we've got the first bit of the exhaust system there that's been Zerkotech as well, the rest of which will go on later once this is all in there. Martin is getting a proper glow up. Sha, people might be asking why we've just built this engine to 500 horsepower, we're hoping, but we've put the original clutch and flywheel back on it. Why is that the case?
So I made the call to do this. This clutch was installed originally when we supplied the car. It was brand fire new. It's done next to no work. So I've made the call to install that back into the car whilst we do the running in process.
Okay.
2 reasons. Firstly, we do not need power for the running in. That's a more usable day-to-day clutch because running in miles are just crap. Secondly, when you install an uprated clutch, by the nature of the way they're made, they wear out very quickly by driving like a pansy.
Sure.
They work better when you just engage. All this slipping and driving steady will burn it out for no reason, and they're an expensive item. So that's why I've made the call to put that clutch back in whilst we do the running mods. When it comes back for its second round, well, its last round of mods prior to us achieving our final target, that's when I'll put a proper clutch in there.
Okay, so these running in miles, what do you recommend? What will this car do initially?
So it's a well talked about topic. I personally like the car to be driven in a very normal manner with no boost or minimal boost. Driven using lots of overrun, slowing down using the gears, letting the engine run as long as possible in both vacuum and positive conditions. That enables us to get the maximum amount of life out of that engine, and it makes the rings seal better, in my opinion. It's what I've always done, and it's worked, so I tend to stick with what I know.
Okay, and then after that, a bit of a service, a new clutch, and then on your dyno next door and send it to the moon.
Definitely.
Okay, so is everything on this block that we want to be on before we drop it in?
Nearly, but there's enough for us to start installing the engine into the car to make sure that there's no issues that we're not aware of, i.e. what we spoke about earlier on with some of the bracketry for the skid pans. So the next stage really before we get too far is let's install the actual unit now back into the vehicle.
Okay, let's drop in.
Everything aligned perfectly, so the clutch was connected back up, and then the newly Zerco-teched exhaust manifold was reinstalled, along with all of the hosing. Then came the final piece of the puzzle, the K&N induction system.
She's in. I'm sweaty, I'm hot and bothered, but we've done it. So, we're ready to crank this engine over.
Yep.
You want me to do it? What am I looking for?
So whenever we build a new engine, what we want to do is we want to test oil pressure in the most safest way that we've got available to us. So in this instance, we haven't got an engine dyno, we haven't got the facility to do it any other way. What we favour is disconnecting a sensor in some way, shape or form to stop the engine starting and wanging it.
Sure.
We do this because it's a slower RPM, and we wait for the oil pressure light to go out, which is the minimum oil pressure any engine needs by manufacturer's description.
So I'll crank it over and just wait for the oil light to ping off, and then we should be good to go. Okay, let's do it. Let's see if all this work has come to anything. Confident?
Yeah, of course.
She's building, she's building. Waiting for that light to ping out. Sounding good so far.
Yeah, light stayed on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got an uprated 12mm pump here. So it's unlikely that at that speed it's going to build that pressure. But did you hear what I was talking about?
Yeah, it picked up.
You heard, lazy, okay, I'm up now, I've had a bit of breakfast, I'm ready. But it wasn't ready, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to start it and stop it very quickly to spin it up to about 600-700 RPMs, just to spin the pump quicker, and then oil light will be out, and then we'll start it.
Okay, so we're going to let it catch, but then straight off.
Yeah. So as soon as it catches, off.
Yeah. I got scared. Okay. Stayed on.
Is the light on now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Start it, leave it running for a second, which feels like forever. If the light goes off, leave it. If it settles at about sort of 1400 RPMs and the red light is off, leave him. If the light stays on, turn it off instantly.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Bloody hell, that's nerve-wracking. So I just leave it running?
Yeah, leave it there. Lights off. Okay, kill him.
What does your master ear tell you there?
That we're in Badmans and we build the best engines.
Yeah?
Yeah, stunning, linear, smooth, on all 4 cylinders, no knocks, no rattles, no nothing. Right first time.
Is that only what happens in here? First time fires?
Yeah, make preparation, cleaning, preparation, perfect.
You have one of the most satisfying jobs in the world.
Thank you.
You go through all that process and then you do that and it just sings.
Stressing hell gets there. Just covering all bases, making things right.
Cool. This has been a cool trip. With that, Martin is back alive. I've absolutely loved my time here at Pole Position, and that engine should be good for 500 plus horsepower. To get it there, it's now going to have a 1,000 mile run-in period, at which point it'll be uprated with an uprated clutch, uprated injectors, and we'll whack it on the dyno and see what it's up to. We have been reading the comments. Do not worry guys, we are gonna fix Martin's bonnet. It was an agreement between Richard and I to keep that bump as part of his Grand Tour history, but don't worry, we're gonna get it to the cog and we're gonna sort it out. Martin the Subaru is mechanically finished. You'd think I'd be swinging him into Richard's courtyard and throwing him the keys. But no, you find me on a ferry, leaving the Scottish coastal town of Ardrossan and heading across the sea to the Isle of Arran. Why are we here then? Well, Martin has been tuned since we built his engine, and this is the result of that. So Martin is now a 530 horsepower Impreza, but I want to double, triple, quadruple check that that power is safe and solid before I throw the keys back to Richard, just in case there's any issues. So I brought it to an island off the coast of Scotland. Why this specific island then? Well, I like to call it Scotland's Isle of Man because it's also in the Irish Sea, and if you look at the map here, it has a perfect ring road going all the way around the island, which means technically you can complete a lap of the island. But this place isn't just about the roads. This island has so much to offer. Arran is known as Scotland in miniature, as it encapsulates everything that makes my country so special into one island. It has mountains, glens, lochs, every member of Scotland's wildlife Big Five, castles, stunning coastline, and some epic strips of tarmac. Arran is basically Forza Horizon 4, but in real life. My favourite stretch is this bit along here, from the village of Sannox to Loch Ranza. That is where I want to shake down Martin. But before then, let's go explore. I am increasingly falling deeper and deeper in love with this car. Like with my Mondeo and the XKR, I get to a point with a vehicle where I want to treat it in the best way possible in all aspects. The best oil, the best tyres, the best roads, and despite this being Richard's car, I'm now getting to that point with Martin. As a driver, Arran can expose you to pretty much any landscape that the UK has to offer. You can start in fairly deep woodland, and then you're suddenly in bracken-covered moorland, then on the side of a mountain, and then if you turn a corner, you can be exposed to the wind and waves of the Irish Sea. Oh no. Oh no. That is bad news. That there is a sign that says road closed. My bit of tarmac, my favourite bit, is just past that sign. I can't believe it. They must be doing roadworks or something. We've come all this way. I cannot believe that is the case. I can't believe the week we choose to come to this place, the one road we want to go to is closed. I just chatted to a local, and apparently it's getting worked on, proper roadworks, resurfacing it, for the next week or so. But it's good news for you guys. That means by the time this video comes out, you can make this trip to Arran and the road surface will be immaculate. So get your tickets booked now. Do not worry folks, Arran is so amazing that it has 2 of my top 5 roads in the world. So let's head to the second one. This is called the String.
Spanning the width of Arran, the string is a vital road route for those that don't fancy constantly doing a lap of the island. Climbing into the glen with the Firth of Clyde behind you, you crest a hill before plunging down the side of a forest. With sight lines that rally drivers could only dream of, and hairpins over stone bridges that'll have you threading the needle, the string is a test of power, tyre grip, braking endurance, and your own commitment.
The string is actually very similar to my favourite road on the mainland, the Duke's Pass, which you guys may have seen. And Richard said, while driving the Duke's Pass, the one car he wished he'd had there on it, apart from his Jag, was this. So, how does this car handle this road? I'm going to guess, very well. I think before I talk about the massive power increase on this car, let's just talk about the fundamental Subaru Impreza. It's virtually made for a British B-road. Richard and I talk quite often about cars that make sense, cars that feel exactly how they should feel. A Porsche 911 is one of those cars. Richard's XJR is one of those cars. It feels exactly what a 90s performance saloon should feel like. If you look at this car statically and imagine what it is like to drive, that is what it's like to drive. That's what we mean by a car making sense. The gear change makes sense. The brakes make sense. The steering and the way this car turns in makes sense. The big question is, does that engine now make sense? That is the question I'm asking of this car on this road. Have we done the right thing? One thing we have transformed is the amount of noises this car now makes. Some cars kind of make just one noise. Say like a naturally aspirated V8, it's going to sound great, but it's all quite samey. You go up the revs and back down. With this car, you get so many different small noises depending on little nuances that you're inputting to the car. For example, you go in the throttle, you get that turbo which is the flat 4, you then get that from the turbo. That turbo flutter technically isn't very good for the car. We've deleted the blow-off valve, so that sound is essentially the turbo stalling, being forced to slow down. But it puts a smile on your face every single time. Richard is gonna absolutely love that. Here we go. Oh, you can just do that all day. A definite improvement we've made is the exhaust system. Before, there was this big cannon on it, and to be honest, it sounded horrendous. It was just this blaring noise. But now, with that HKS back box, you get nice pops like that. And it's way more tuneful. That flat 4 really comes through. It's also fair to say this car does not need a pop and bang map, if that was possible in a car of this age. So let's get down to it. The engine. 530 horsepower. When we got our hands on Martin, he was 350. So we've added, what's that, 150, 180 horsepower through this built engine. Now, if you remember from one of our first walk-around videos, in the glove box for the Grand Tour filming, there's switches, there's anti-lag, and then there's a map switch, essentially, for boost. So if you put the map switch to off, that is it on low boost, which is 440 horsepower now. And then you flick it to high boost, and you've got your 530. Now, I've shown that dyno graph to Richard. I've shown him that clip of it on the dyno, and his first question, which is a good one, is can the transmission, can the drivetrain cope with that amount of power? And the guys at Pole Position, Sham, told me yes. You actually have to be upwards towards 800 horsepower before you even start thinking about changing any of that. Subaru properly engineered these cars back in the day. The string is one of those roads that transforms every half mile. We're at the very start here, and it's hedgerows. 6 foot tall hedgerows, you cannot see over them, so your tunnel vision on a really nice surface. Arran historically has been quite potholy, which explains all of the roadworks going on. But this surface, because it's one of the lesser travelled roads compared to the ring road, is bob on. We're now half a mile up the road, and the hedgerow has immediately disappeared, and you're plumb in the middle of a glen. I think this one is Glen Rosa? Glen Rosa? I think Glen Rosa. Whichever one it is, it's spectacular. Something that's really nerdy from my side, there's lots of little bridge crossings down this road. There's about 5 of them that cross little streams that tumble down the glen, down into there. Can't really see the bottom of it. I really like a little bubbling stream, so sometimes when I'm driving on this road, I'll just pull over, sit on one of the bridges, have my lunch, and just listen to the running water. On that side, an entire field of Highland cows, an entire field of Hamishes. I can actually see some red deer running about up there, the largest land animal in the UK. Could a road get more Scottish? Once the glen exposes itself, you are at the top of the road, and the effort switches from the engine to your brakes. Now, these brakes, you guys will have seen, they were brand new from Torque GT. They weren't upgraded in any way, they were just new, off-the-shelf Subaru brakes. And I thought they would be a weak point on this car, now with all of this power, but they're not. They're totally fine. I mean, obviously, I'm not driving 1010s on this road, but they're coping completely fine. Another thing on this Subaru Impreza V Limited that makes sense. The big one for me then, have we gone too far with Martin? He was quick with 350 horsepower. That was the tune that he had when he was on the Grand Tour. Well, let me just describe what he's like now. Martin is now a proper point and squirt machine. Very much actually like a Nissan GTR. You have to look a good few hundred yards in front of you and suss out what's going on before you even think about giving this car full throttle. Because with that all-wheel drive system, it hooks up, and once you're above 3,500, 4,000 RPM, the numbers on the dash in front of you are going up incredibly quickly. So, is Martin a better car now he has over 500 horsepower? Honestly, no. 350 from the Grand Tour map was more than enough. He was quick enough for any road in the UK. But I'll give it to the car, I will give it to the guys at pole position. The way this car puts down its power, Jesus. The drivetrain can cope with 530 horsepower, no problem at all. Also, when coupled with Bridgestone Potenza Sport tyres, I had them on the M5, this car never spins up a wheel unless you're in the wet. It just grips and grips and grips. Time to overtake an Audi. Oh! What a car! What a car! So quick! Supercar quick! Does it now drink fuel? Yes. Does the exhaust drone a bit on the motorway, especially for people in the back? Yes, but should you have people in the back in this car? No. It should just be you, maybe a friend in the passenger seat, on a road like this, as much as physically possible. Also, just a little sprinkling from pole position. Martin now has proper launch control. The car will recognise if you are stopped, the wheels aren't moving, and you're in gear. you can then floor the throttle and it will hold it at about 5,500 RPM, dump the clutch and you're away. Now, you don't want to do that too much in a car with all-wheel drive because you'll end up popping a drive shaft at some point. But if any YouTuber out there wants to take on a Grand Tour car in a drag race, one, you can, and two, you're probably going to lose. The string gives you the exact same options that the Duke's Pass and Aberfoyle does. Do you focus on the driving experience, or do you enjoy the ridiculous visuals that are being served up in front of you? As a millennial driving this car, all I can think about is Colin McRae, especially on a Scottish strip of tarmac like this. Yes, I'm not in an actual Group A rally car, but those flat four sounds, the slick gear change, the way this car puts down its power, and also, of course, my little roof intake, give me some of that breeze, because I'm a hard-working rally driver. I feel like it's 2003, and this is the Aaron Rally. I don't think that exists, but let's make it happen. Visit Aaron, let's have a talk. Aaron Rally 2024, the string, let's go. Not a bad place to let a car tick cool, is it? Another reason I brought this car here to somewhere that looks like this is that Richard wants to use it as his Lake District car. He's going to station it up in Buttermere so that he can tackle his own favourite roads and also maybe do some work in the fields. That will be in terrain very similar to this, so to me, that's enough of an excuse to bring it all the way here. Do not worry, by the time Richard has the car, we will have fixed the bonnet dent so that when it's tearing around the Lake District, it will be pristine.
Is it now?
Not quite. I wanted a proper handover. It's been a lot of work done to this car, so I want to take you around it and make sure you really understand what you're getting back.
What I'm getting to drive?
Yes.
Just, has everybody but me in the UK now driven it?
I think everyone in the camera crew
enjoy it? Was it good?
has had a shot.
Liked it?
Yeah, they want one.
Good, good. Any minute now I'm going to have a go, but okay, I do want to understand what you've done.
Well, yeah, well, now that I think about it, has it been... I think it's nearly been a year since we revealed that you actually had this car, because it was the NEC Classic Car Show.
It's 5 years.
But, well, I guess the biggest change to start with is the livery. I think we kind of forget that this used to be a Martini liveried car.
Well, yeah, we wrapped it for the show because it was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree. Thank you very much for your forceful suggestions that we return it to blue, because I think it is iconic.
Yes,
that colourway.
To you, I mean, you experienced the car in Norway for quite a while with that wrap. Does it still seem, I mean, we've still got the Martin, does it still seem like Martin, or does it seem like a different car?
It's still Martin.
Yeah?
It is, yeah, it is. Don't forget, I did drive it before the livery went on.
Sure, of course.
And I saw it go, so it's kind of, it's still
that's
Martin.
Good, then.
It's kind of nice to feel it throwing off that silly outfit, and here I am in the iconic blue with gold wheels.
Well, underneath the Martini livery was a bit of rust. So the first thing we did was a bit of arch here. So we did both
They all
arches.
go there, sir, feature of the model.
Exactly. So we took it down to Torque GT, who are a Japanese car specialist, and they basically did most of the bodywork. So there was rust repair, both front and rear bumpers got sorted, there was just kind of blistering here and there.
Yeah, I might have dented
We made it look good.
Yeah. I might have hit a snowbank.
Sure.
They do understeer these things.
The one thing they didn't sort, because we deliberately left it, because we thought it was the right thing to do,
yes,
was the bonnet dent.
The honest truth, as this whole process was going through and I didn't even see the car for ages, you'd said,
I know.
You had said, I want to leave the bonnet dent because it's part of its story.
Yeah.
And then you said, and I totally agreed, no.
You're throwing me under the bus right now.
Mate, there's a bus. Under you go.
I swear we had a very mutual conversation that was, do you know what? We should leave something, some history of the car.
But if you also remember, Mike, I changed my mind and came, do you remember? And came rather sheepishly to you and said, Mike, I've had a bit of a thought. I know you say everybody wants us to leave the dents in the bonnet. I really want to get rid of them. And then you, rather shamefacedly, said, yeah, actually, we've had word back and everybody wants it straightened. So it is. Thank you.
Well, now it is, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it did look a bit stupid.
Yeah, yes. The wheels, are they probably the most iconic wheel ever on a car? I'd put it up there.
Yeah.
They were pretty battered and blistered from your trip as well, so they are now spotless. I don't think they've been curbed yet. So yes, they're now beautifully gold.
If anybody's curbed them before I've even driven it, I will require their name.
Final bodywork stuff, you got a brand new front splitter. This is actually quite a serious piece of kit. This is a proper V-limited front splitter, so be careful with that.
So this is one of the bits that goes to making this a V-limited?
Yeah, special.
Yes. Okay.
And then the last thing was the stickering. So as you say, because it's V-limited, it has some specific stickers.
Yeah.
So there's some on the front fog light covers here, there's these ones here, and then there were V-limited stickers here.
Yeah.
But your good man Andrew did a proper job on this rear wing. It had lacquer peel. And to be fair to him, he stripped it back, did it properly, but we're missing the ultra rare V-limited rear wing stickers.
Do we just nip down to Halford's or any other auto parts store, others are available on the high street, and buy one for 75 pence?
You don't. I think you have to go about, what's it, 5,000 miles or something to Japan and get them. So yeah, they're probably about a tenner, but probably about 400 quid's delivery.
But we're going to get some.
We'll sort that out, because yes, it did look really cool with that.
Yes. Just exterior-wise, visually, and in terms of authenticity of the car's story, it's still got the tow bar on it.
It's still got the tow bar on.
I'm in two minds.
Well, this is kind of like the bonnet dent.
Yeah.
I think it should stay because it's a piece of Grand Tour history.
I mean, it was there so that somebody could ski off the back of it.
Yeah.
It's fairly unique.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it does look, the word, and it's a multi-syllable one I'm going to break out, is incongruous. It does look incongruous.
It does allow you to use it as a cog tow vehicle still.
I'm not going to use it as a tow
It's
vehicle.
got the grunt, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yes, but I'm not towing with it. I don't know. Personally, there's going to come a point when that part of its life, it's moving on from it, and it can afford to shed that. The memory of it having been there will remain. It was there, but it's moved on. Nobody's going to ski off it, and I'm not towing a trailer with it.
Well, it's also when you go to a car meet, I don't know about you, but I just sort of can't resist just sort of putting my foot on it, just for something to do. Just
What, you want me to leave it there as a...
Well, you're just chatting to somebody, you just sort of, give it a bit of that. Go on.
Do you want to take it with
Give
you
it a
as
little left foot. Ooh.
Oh, it's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, ball of the foot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a foot race. I'd like to hear your opinion on that one, please. Share it. Should we keep it or should it go? I will follow what you say on that.
Okay, so that's bodywork pretty much done.
Then the meaty bits.
Apart from the drive-tribe bits.
No, I like this. I'm happy with that. That's good. No, I like it. Why not?
It kind of gives it...
Sing it proud.
Exactly. The next thing with the brakes.
Yes.
So the brakes are standard, but they're brand new. So they were off the shelf at Torque GT, and I've driven it fairly hard, 8/10 I would say, and I never felt like I was lacking brakes.
It's not a heavy car to start.
No, absolutely not.
1,400 kilograms dry.
That is ridiculous.
So maybe 17 all up with a driver and fuel. It's not bad, is it?
It's very
light.
It's from that era that it's hard to really think
Well, you can
of.
feel it's light just when, that's...
You can hear it when you open the door. Clang! Do you know what? I'm going to have to get my list out because there's so much been done to this car.
I've got to memorise this.
New brakes.
People are going to ask me at me.
Yes,
and I'm gonna have
I'll
to
give
go,
you this
well,
list.
I've done this.
Right, coilovers.
Yep.
They're from BC Racing. They're BR coilovers, and they've got 10 different soft or stiffness settings.
Right.
So we've set it to 7 towards soft, but proper ride height. So it's basically got some compliancy. It's stiffer than what was on the car originally, but as I say, we've tried to make it ride as it should.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting to see what you think of them. The suspension that was on it, the shocks on it, were original STI pink ones. and they are ridiculously expensive to
Because
replace.
the pink dampers are quite the ironic.
They're the one everyone wants.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were completely gone, 20 years old.
But
original.
it's £1 million a corner.
Yes, they are super expensive, again from Japan.
Yeah.
So I thought, BC Racing, well, I'm interested to see what you think of them. Hopefully they work out.
I'll look out for that when I get to drive it.
Yes, soon,
Mike,
but there's still much more explanation.
Is this one of your really long legs?
Yeah. Let me talk about the tyres.
Yeah, let's talk. Yes.
Bridgestone Potenza Sports. We had these on our M5 Touring, and I really, really rate them. On Arran in all weathers, because Scottish Island, they worked really nicely.
How long were you on, Aaron, mate?
A full week. I really made the most of
In
it.
my Subaru. Good.
All the way up and back as well.
Yeah, you didn't manage a lap of Aaron, did you?
No, the
No.
road was closed. Yeah. My bit of tarmac, my favourite bit, is just past that sign. I can't believe it. They must be doing roadworks or something. We'll have to go back.
Will we?
Maybe, well, I'll maybe wait till you're on another Grand Tour and then maybe I'll go back.
Oh, right. Okay, this will be locked away. Very much. Security.
I think some of the cogs have had to go as well. It's not
But
just the
everybody
cameramen.
else in the country has, of course they have.
It needs a good shakedown because of all the engine work, so everyone's just chipping in, you know?
Yeah, shakedown is supposed to be an initial drive, and then when nothing falls off, you stop. Not the first 100,000 miles.
Sure. Let's talk about the big thing.
Yes.
Engine.
Yes, it's under there. Oh no, I don't know where the catch is on one of these. Where is it? Hold on. You've all driven it. Where's the bonnet catch? Can't
Would you like me
remember.
to have a look?
Hang on, I got it. It's tiny. There is the horizontally posed
Am I in there?
4-cylinder, 2 litre.
You say 2 litre.
Yeah, I did say 2 litre because it was a 2 litre.
So I remember you specifically asked me for 600 horsepower. That's what you wanted.
Well, I'm ambitious and childish.
I thought probably 450 would be the number.
Yep.
I chatted to the Subaru specialist on this, pole position, which is where the car went, and he said the perfect number is 500. So what you've got now is 530 on the dot. So that's kind of a happy medium between our two estimations, basically.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So I think when it came, the Grand Tour tune was about 350.
Yeah, that's what I
That did
meant.
not feel slow.
No.
So yeah, you've gained, what's that, 180?
And torque is similarly massive.
Yes, it's been another big hike on that as well. I can't remember the
I
number.
think it's about 500.
But you've got your switch in there. So low boost is 440.
Yes.
And then high boost is 530. I never drove it on low boost. I don't know if you're going to be flicking either way.
And this has been achieved by, I mean, it's a thorough rebuild from the shells up, isn't it?
Yes, so it's what is now called a stroker engine.
Yep.
So this is a 2.1 litre now.
So they've achieved that by effectively shorter con rods.
Yes, well,
well,
it's
changing the crankshaft,
It's got a
right?
very special crank on it. So it's called a knife edge crank. And Shah, the specialist that helped put this engine together, he was freaking out over this thing. He does Subarus day in, day out, and this crank, he was absolutely loving it.
Oh, but you did send me a photograph of that,
Oh yes,
and it is an item of great
it's,
beauty.
you want it on your
It's kind
table.
of a shame it's buried right in there.
So
Honestly.
on top of that, so start with the crank, and then it was forged pistons, upgraded con rods. The crank was forged as well. Bigger injectors, so the minimum flow rate on them is quite high. So like low speed pulling away, it doesn't really like small amounts of throttle.
So it'll
you
feel
need to
like a
kinda-
really cammy setup on an old
Yes, yeah, it wants as much throttle as possible.
engine. Okay.
The biggest change under here, you normally have your intercooler there, which
Yeah.
is where the scoop feeds into. That's now gone, and it's been replaced by all this piping. You can now see your turbo though. So that's a bigger turbo down there.
Oh, and heat-proofy stuff
It's
all over
got
it.
the Zerkotech heatproofing,
Yep.
and your exhaust also has Zerkotech heatproofing.
That's like the racing stuff.
That is Formula One level, that stuff. They probably went to town on
Yes.
that. So your intercooler now is down the front mounted intercooler. I've been told, because of the amount of heat soak up there, you have to do that if you want to get anywhere near the numbers this is now putting out.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll make that number once on one pool,
Great.
and then you're down to 300.
Mike, I have a question, and it's an important one.
Yes.
So we've gone from, what were they? They were only 270, 280 new?
Yeah, 280, I think.
280 to 530.
Yes.
torque, similarly, massive increase up to 500 pound-feet. That is going to be asking questions of everything immediately beyond here.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. But according to Shah, the man that does these day in, day out, he says you have to be upwards of 800 horsepower before you even think about gearbox, four-wheel drive system, drive shafts, any of that.
So I don't need a boot full of drive shafts and cogs?
No. The only thing that could happen, you now have launch control. So if you are in first gear and the car is stationary, it will allow you to floor it and it'll sit at 5.5 and then you can just dump. If you do that too much, it'll pop a drive shaft.
Yes.
That's pretty much the only thing that can go wrong.
Launch control on a four-wheel drive car without some sort of torque vector and clever setup.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a pretty robust piece of kit. As we've talked about, I took it for the shakedown on Aaron, and now it's all been spanner checked. The whole point in that trip was to find issues.
How many miles have you done, you and the rest of the UK collectively, in this car's shakedown? Normally, you know, you're looking at maybe 20, 30, possibly 50.
I think collectively, since you handed over the car, I think it's done 3,000 miles.
That's quite a big shakedown, isn't it?
That's quite good.
What's the service intervals, realistically?
Well, you should probably do it every 5,000 miles
Right,
now.
so I've got 2,000 miles left.
But it's just been, after Aaron,
oh, okay.
it got freshly
so
done.
it's good to
that
go.
like post-shakedown service.
Oh, right. Because you needed it.
Well, yes, exactly. Something that you will notice is where is it? There is a blank off, there it is. So the blow-off valve used to be there.
Yep.
That's now just a nub. So when you lift off, combined with this K&N induction system, this sound that turbo makes, the chuff that comes from it, absolutely unreal. You'll just be sitting there coming on and off the throttle all day.
Lovely.
It makes an amazing sound.
Lovely.
Is that it? That was quite a lot.
I don't know, do you want to read a phone directory before I drive it? Or
It's got a beefier clutch.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
Zercotec, done that. Oh, exhaust. Before, it had a proper cannon on it and it just made this ridiculous noise. But now, it's equally as big, but it's a proper HKS system, again from Japan. So it makes like a much nicer sound now. You've still got the volume, but that flat.
And is it still really balanced and tuned to the car, back pressure, etc.?
Yes, exactly. The whole tune that was done on the dyno is with that exhaust in place.
Right.
So it's now free flowing and ready to properly you up that Welsh road.
Nice work. Is that going to happen sometime soon in, I don't know, well, within my lifetime?
Well, I think that is everything.
Right.
The interior, yeah, that was all the same. We just had to repair some Grand Tour cameraman stuff. I think you are good to go.
Had they done their, because when we take these cars on trips, we hand it over, I say, right, there you go. They've got fixed mounts in it for the cameras, so they will drill and smash.
Yeah, so there's just one little bit that we've left. It is up there. It looks like it was like a GoPro or something. I thought that was going to be one of these little blanking things here. There.
Yep.
But no, that has been drilled.
Yeah.
So I didn't think we should replace the entire roof lining because of that.
That's fine.
So yeah.
We can all say it's a bit of its story.
And I must say, my favourite thing is your little Colin McRae flap.
Yes.
Even on a cold Welsh day like today, I'd be whacking that open every time.
Just because it makes you a rally driver.
It's so cool.
Right.
So, it's been through quite the journey, but this is a proper car now. I don't think we've done as thorough a job on a DriveTribe project car as this. 3,000 miles. It's now over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think you're going to love it. Genuinely. It's such a piece of kit now.
Good.
Yes. I recommend a Scottish island called Arran.
I'm going over there now. I'm in my new happy place. This is my first drive of Martin the Subaru since all the work has been done. And it's been transformed. Oh, I have looked forward to this moment, well, for a year. Oh my Lord. This was a special car. It is now otherworldly. When it comes on boost, Turbo lag is the best thing ever invented. They have brought it to life. It was in no way lacking in vigor and energy when I drove it on the Grand Tour, but now right, time to make a confession. It's my first go in this car. For these first minute or so, I've been driving it not in full fat mode. If I go in the glove box here, anti-lag on, I've put it on the hot map. Yeah, oh my lord! Right, let's get a few facts going. Dry weight of one of these is 1,400 kilos. With me and a tank of fuel, well, you're about a 1,550. It's light. With 530 brake, the power to weight ratio is massive, really massive, and it feels it. Any Subaru Impreza WRX, any of the million versions of it, is a uniquely analog feeling car. I think it starts with that engine, the flat four. There's something simple and mechanical and analog and brutal just about that. It sets the tone, the character for the whole car. Let's just push that a bit. Oh yeah, bit of understeer coming through, but I'm on a wet road. With a bit more experience, I'd then shift the centre differential back a bit, get more power to the rear wheels. Try that again. Let's just break into this. Heel and toe, just to push it, not massively, but yeah, the front wheels start to just come out. I think, oh, this is a tool I need to learn how to use. Right, calm down, Hammond. Think about this. Deliver some useful comments to try and bring the experience to life. What does it feel like? A Subaru Impreza always has character, personality. Right from the moment you fire it up, that flat four gives it that unique noise. And it's a punchy kind of engine. The pistons opposite each other, punching against the same crank. That sets the tone for the whole car. And if you ally that to the four-wheel drive on this, which is it just feels direct, mechanical, analog. It's clawing its way. It wants to go. Its lightness, again, if I turn, it just feels so planted. I love the feel of a Subaru to drive, the way it steers, the way it grips, the way it pulls, turns, rides, all of that. And this has been dialed up to 11. There's a precision and a delicacy to this hard suspension. I can feel it working. Right, let's just try and be sensible, Hammond. You don't want to break it on your first outing. Oh my lord. Holy hell. Oh good lord. Oh naughty thing. It claws its way towards the horizon. All four wheels digging in. It's just the grip. What have they created? I've said this before, it's so long since I've been a road tester. It's not my job anymore. And I guess I'm not really doing that today. I'm sharing my experience of my car. And it's joyous. For whatever reason, I connect with Imprezas. They appeal to me. It's because they are rugged, built for purpose. I'm not one for styling for effect. Some people are, nothing against them. Brilliant. Hurrah for the flamboyant. That is the drama of the noises. How does it find that grip? Boost. Boost. Oh my god. The closer ratio box, keeps it on boost, and then helps teeth. Ooh. This is why I do what I do for a living, and I've done so for so long. Not this specific car, but cars like this specific cars. Ones that have personality, and yes, it's got a utilitarian task to perform, getting me from here to there, but look how it does it. They're brutish little things, Imprezas. This was a hammer to start with. I'm not saying with all they've done, they've turned it into a scalpel, but I will say maybe a really nice throwing axe. Not everybody will get this car. I'm thinking about my wife, Mindy. She's going to hate it. I don't know she'll ever go in it. And I respect anybody who doesn't want to, because it's a car too. Not everybody views cars as potential cartoons, and even if they do, they don't want to join in. I'm different though. I suspect you are too. We're going to have a lot of fun together. A lot.